Woohoo! So let's move on to 2.2, depressants. Number 1, we have opiates. When did you start using them?
Opiates would have been graduate school again. And my preferred opiate for sure was heroin.
Of course. We love heroin. So how did it affect you?
So heroin was definitely my favorite drug that I've ever done. It makes you feel like everything is great, perfect in the world. Like that, those moments where you feel like totally loved and warm and accepted and just, but not like amped up or anything. You know what I mean?
No,
like just
like,
but very much yourself.
Like peaceful.
Yeah, it's a very peaceful drug. It really is. It's like injecting peace.
Wow. Sounds great.
We could get 90% pure heroin on the streets in New York back then. It was a great drug you could buy. So in New York, you would get what was called China White. It was a powder, and you could snort that, and it was an amazing high. It was so good.
Great.
Whereas down in like the Southwest and stuff, you get tar, which I didn't like it as much. Yeah, it was less pure for sure. So here's the thing though.
Yeah.
Like heroin is the opposite of cocaine.
Okay.
Right? Like whereas cocaine, you're immediately like, it's short-lived, and you're immediately like, this is the most addictive thing I've ever done. Heroin
sneaks up on you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so here's a typical heroin user experience, right? You do it the first time, and it's like 10 hours of pure bliss, right?
So very long lasting.
Well, but you're going to do it. You're going to do it a few more times during that time. Maybe it'll last a couple hours, right?
But it's way more long lasting than like cocaine.
For sure. And then, like, the come down is nothing, dude. You fall into the deepest, most beautiful sleep ever, and you like sleep for like 12 or 14 hours, you know, and you wake up and you're like, and you feel fine. At least I did. I was like, wow, that was awesome.
Wow, finally a drug with no downsides.
Exactly. And then so this is how it happens. And then so maybe like, you know, a week or two later, you're like, man, that was awesome. I could do a little more. Let's do heroin again.
Yeah, of course.
And you do it again, and all of a sudden you're like, it's probably great again, right?
Yeah, maybe not quite as good, but like you don't really notice.
It's still pretty great.
Still great.
But so here's the thing, like a couple things with heroin is, or opioids in general, is you develop a tolerance super fast.
Okay.
If you only put like a week between doing it, you almost have to do twice as much the second time to get the same high. And it doesn't stop. It continues to exponentiate. Double again. So if you're like a regular heroin user, and we like the way we'd buy it, we would call them dime bags, right? Mm-hmm. Like whereas like any normal human being, like, you know, when you're first doing it, like you could get like 4 major bumps off of a single dime bag, right? Whereas someone who was addicted to heroin would do 10 dime bags in a single hit.
Yikes.
And have the same feel, and even have less of a high than you did with a quarter bag. Yeah. So it's but that's how it happens to you. Like it seems like it's not doing it. It seems like it's fine. And so another thing, a term that I've only really felt with heroin was what I call chippiness. And chippy's like a little evil part of your brain. So I'll tell you the exact experience where
so there's Chippy, who's an evil part of your brain.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you exactly the experience that made me stop doing heroin. In fact, I moved to stop doing heroin.
You're scared of that you would be too tempted.
It was dangerous. Yeah, it was dangerous. I was in New York City. I was at the premiere of a movie called The Basketball Diaries.
Okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio when he was young, and it was literally about an author who got addicted to heroin and ruined his life.
Great.
And the takeaway that I felt during that movie was, boy, I could really do some heroin. And it was like I felt Chippy. Chippy was with me in the theater, and that's when I recognized that there was something seriously dangerous.
Yeah.
And so I really made a conscious effort not to do heroin, and I did do it a few more times, but not very. That was the end of any regular usage of that drug.
Right. So before you stopped doing heroin, or before you like hit that sort of like a barrier where you're like, I need to stop, like how addicted would you say you were?
I was the gatekeeper for my friends and I. And they would have done it way more, but I was still, I was still pretty locked in person and who cared about the world. And
Yeah.
so I would typically put at least 2 weeks between doing it. So I didn't really get the tolerance build up.
Right.
But towards the end, like, I remember when I finally quit, like, I was sick for a couple days. Like, I was, like, in the tub, having to sit in a hot water bath, feeling nauseated as shit. And so, that's the other thing about heroin is you can actually get, and by the way, people misunderstand addiction all the time. The addiction you have to worry about is psychological addiction. I mean, everything can be that way.
Yeah.
All people mean when they say about a physical addiction is if you quit it, it can kill you.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 drugs that really do that. It's heroin and alcohol.
Okay.
So I definitely was starting to get a little physical addiction. But in psychological, obviously, Chippy is is the psychological side of that, which was more dangerous, scarier to me.
Yeah. Because you're a guy that feels like you have a very good grasp on your own mind, right? Or you would like to.
Yeah, you would think that, yeah. So losing that level of control was dangerous.
Okay. So probably I shouldn't do it during college.
I would... and let's just be straightforward about this. You can't get heroin in the United States anymore.
Yeah, okay.
So fentanyl is taken over everything. So what you get is like a little bit of fentanyl mixed with garbage. And the high's different, by the way. It's not as good as heroin. And you have to rely on the person who's been mixing it. And a little miss with fent will kill you. So
so this is another cocaine situation?
Yeah, they're both terrible. They're both way too likely to have fentanyl in them right now. So yeah, you can't get, I personally don't believe that there's hardly any legitimate heroin in the United States anymore.
Okay. So benzos. I'm surprised you didn't do the full legal name for this one too.
I wasn't sure you could pronounce benzodiazepine.
Okay, well I couldn't pronounce methamphetamine either. So that joke on you. So when did you start using benzos?
So once again, like this would be a little bit of an Adderall or meth thing.
Right.
I've never been a big benzo guy.
Okay, casual on the side.
Benzodiazepines, it's an anti-anxiety drug. It wasn't really popular.
Right.
When I was in school. So I've done benzos, I don't know, maybe a half dozen times after that. I find them completely terrible drugs. So basically what they for sure do, particularly if you take them with alcohol, is they make you black out.
Oh.
So do you know the difference between a blackout and passing out?
A blackout is like when you wake up and you don't remember what you did in the morning.
Well, yeah. And even more so, like you are literally a walking zombie. Like you are not recording anything as you are doing it. So
that sounds dangerous.
It's like I'll tell you the first time I did benzos, I was watching the Houston Rockets in a playoff game. And it was like final minutes of the game, and there was this important shot that was going up. Next thing I knew, I was in my bed. It was 14 hours later, and my only thought was, did the shot go in? Like I was right there.
Oh.
As far as I knew, I was right there in the room watching the basketball game.
That's scary.
Yeah, for sure, because it was my first time I'd ever had that.
It's like you just time traveled.
Exactly like time traveling. And I had no idea what had happened.
And did you find out?
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, so, like, I called my friends up almost immediately because I was so, like, what?
Disoriented.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, we finished the game and then we went to Blockbuster and
you just did a ton of stuff.
Like rented some movies. I think it was actually I Love Video. That was the Austin place.
Of course.
And rented some movies and we watched a movie and we stayed up real late, blah blah blah, and like so for me, like benzos are so stupid. Like literally, that's what happens to everyone when they do them. Like they black out. How is that fun?
It's not fun at all.
It's not even fun. It's just so, like, I mean, I'm sure, like, if you did it on lower doses and maybe you, like, completely, like, were careful about alcohol. But the thing is, no one who does benzos is careful about anything they're doing. It's literally because it takes away your inhibitions, right? So people end up taking, like, they'll eat all of their benzos like in one sitting and not even know that they did it, and they just wake up like, where did all my drugs go? They'll like accuse people of stealing them when of course they did it themselves. Probably the dumbest drug I've ever done.
That just sounds like a worse version of alcohol.
For sure, worse
like
version.
Terrible version of alcohol.
Terrible.
Okay, so good or I would ask good or bad for college, but it just seems like it's like a bad drug overall.
Definitely a bad drug for college.
Yeah, because I mean, like at least the other ones have like they have like a benefit. This one just seems stupid.
Full on negatives for benzos.
Benzos, okay. We're anti-benzos. Okay. We hope that you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please consider checking out the next one in the series.
Or some of our other series on philosophy and life.
We upload videos every Friday, so don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. See you next week.